Every morning, I wake up to the same choice, not what to wear, not what to eat, but whether I'll truly let God lead me, or just go through the motions pretending I have faith. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes I don't want to surrender. Sometimes I think I've got it figured out, but then life reminds me, gently or violently, that I don't. Faith is not passive. It's not a one-time declaration. It's not just saying, I believe in God, and then living like you're the CEO of your own universe. No, faith is a decision I have to make every single day, every hour if I'm being honest. It's a relationship, not a checkbox. It's not about appearing spiritual or religious. It's about stepping into the unknown and saying, Lord, I trust you even when I don't understand you. You see, this prayer, Lord, guide me one step at a time, take the lead in my life. It's not some poetic phrase I mutter to sound deep. It's a lifeline, because when I try to lead myself, I get lost. I chase things that don't matter. I burn out. I make decisions based on fear, ego, insecurity. I try to control people, outcomes, timelines, and it never ends well. But when I pause, breathe, and say, God, today I don't need to know everything. I just need to know the next step. Something shifts. There's peace. There's direction. There's clarity. Not always about the big picture, but about what to do right now. We live in a world that tells us to be in charge. Be your own boss. Manifest your destiny. Control your future. And that sounds empowering until you realize it's exhausting, it's lonely, it's heavy. When everything depends on you, there's no room for grace, no space for divine intervention. You're stuck in your own head, your own limited view, your own flawed instincts. And that's why I've learned faith is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's knowing I can't see what God sees. It's admitting that I don't have it all figured out. It's saying, God, if you're not leading, I'm not moving. But here's the uncomfortable part. When I ask God to lead me, He doesn't always take me where I want to go. Sometimes He takes me through discomfort, through waiting, through doors I never would have opened on my own. And that's where faith becomes real. That's where I have to trust that He knows the destination, even if the road looks strange. Because faith doesn't mean getting what I want. It means becoming who I'm called to be. And that usually requires some stretching, some silence, some surrender. I used to think faith meant everything would feel good, that if I prayed hard enough, life would align perfectly. But the truth is, faith isn't about feelings. It's about commitment. I've had days where I felt nothing, days when God was silent, days when I was angry, confused, afraid. And on those days I had to choose, will I still follow? Will I still trust? Will I still say, lead me, even when the path is dark? And when I did, when I stayed the course, I found something deeper than happiness. I found strength. I found purpose. I found God, sometimes in the very places I didn't want to go. I've realized this. The most dangerous thing isn't failing. It's living without direction, drifting, hustling, striving for things that look good on the outside but leave me empty on the inside. That's why this prayer matters. Lord, guide me one step at a time. Not 5 steps, not the whole staircase, just one, just today. And that's all I can really handle, because when I try to leap ahead, I miss what God is doing right now. I miss the lesson. I miss the growth. I miss the people I'm called to serve. So I've stopped asking God to show me the finish line. I just ask Him to show me the i.e. next faithful step. And look, I still mess up. I still get impatient. I still try to run the show. But every morning I come back to that prayer. Not because I'm perfect, but because I know I'm not. I say, God, I don't know what today holds, but I trust you do. I don't know who I'll meet, what I'll face, or where I'll stumble. But I'm asking you, take the lead. Speak louder than my fears. Pull me back when I rush ahead. And remind me that faith isn't just something I have, it's something I choose. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, like you need all the answers before you move, pause. You don't need the full plan. You just need the courage to say yes to the next step. And maybe that step is small, maybe it's scary, maybe it doesn't make sense yet. But if God is in it, it's enough. Because the safest place to be is not in control, it's in alignment. And that's why I pray this every morning, not out of habit, but out of necessity. Lord, guide me one step at a time. Take the lead in my life. Because if I try to do it all on my own, I'll break. But if He's leading, I'll make it. One step at a time. I used to think God would show me the whole map, like some divine GPS. I thought if I prayed enough, believed hard enough, surrendered completely, He'd roll out a detailed blueprint of my life, where I'd go, who I'd become, what to expect next. But He doesn't work like that. He never has. And the more I've walked with Him, the more I've realized that's actually the gift. God gives me just enough light for the step I'm on, not the next 10, not the next 100, just the next one. And at first, that frustrated me. I wanted certainty, I wanted clarity, I wanted control. But He kept whispering the same thing. Trust me. And that's harder than it sounds, especially in a world where everyone wants instant answers and 5-year plans. But let me tell you what happens when you only have one step in front of you. You listen more. You depend more. You slow down. Because now you're not chasing a destination. You're staying close to the one who's leading you. I've had seasons where I begged God to show me more, to just tell me how it ends. Will this work out? Will this relationship last? Will this dream ever come true? And the silence would drive me mad. But in hindsight, I get it. If I had seen the full picture, I might have run from it, or tried to manipulate it, or gotten lazy, assuming it would just fall into place. God doesn't show us the full journey because He's after something deeper than our comfort. He's after our character. And it's in the not knowing that trust is built. When I don't know what's next, but I choose to follow anyway, that's faith. When I feel afraid, uncertain, confused, but I still take that step, that's obedience. And that's where transformation happens. Not when everything is mapped out, but when I say, God, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm still here. I'm still moving. I'm still following. There were moments in my life where I thought I was lost, where nothing made sense. Doors were closing. Prayers felt unanswered. It felt like God had gone silent. But now I realize He was guiding me the whole time, just not in the way I expected. He was teaching me to walk by faith, not by sight. And every random turn, every delay, every detour, it wasn't random at all. It was precise. It was necessary. I just couldn't see it yet. And maybe that's where you are right now. Maybe you're praying, God, just show me what to do with my life. And all you hear back is nothing. But what if that silence is the invitation? Not to panic, but to pay attention. Not to shut down, but to step forward. One decision at a time. You don't need to see the whole staircase, just the next step. Maybe that step is to forgive someone. Maybe it's to walk away from something toxic. Maybe it's to apply for the job, start the project, make the call. Whatever it is, it probably won't make the whole picture clear. But that's the point. If God gave you the whole map, you'd stop talking to Him. You'd stop leaning in. You'd think you could navigate it on your own. But God doesn't want robotic obedience. He wants relationship. That's why He reveals Himself in pieces. It's why He leads like a lamp, not a floodlight, because lamps are intimate. You have to stay close. You have to move slowly. You have to trust the one holding it. And here's the thing. Some of the most powerful moves God's made in my life didn't look powerful at first. They looked small, insignificant, even disappointing. But months later, sometimes years, I'd look back and say, oh, that was you. That was the step. That was the moment everything changed, and I didn't even know it. That's why I stopped demanding answers. I stopped needing to know why. Because the more I let go of needing to see the whole plan, the more peace I found in simply taking the next right step. I'm not saying it's easy. It's not. There's tension. There's fear. But there's also freedom. Because now I don't carry the pressure of having it all figured out. I just have to follow. This kind of faith, it's slow, it's deliberate, it's intimate, it's not sexy, it doesn't always make for exciting stories. But it's real, and it lasts. Because when you learn to walk with God, step by step, you become someone who can handle the promise, when it finally comes. You're not just ready for the destination, you're IE-shaped by the journey. So now I wake up and I say, God, I don't need the whole map. I just need enough grace for today, enough light for this hour, enough courage to do what's right, even when I don't know what's next. And that's enough. It always is. Because when God leads, He never leads halfway. Even if I can't see it, He's already in tomorrow, already making a way, and every step I take in faith brings me closer to the place, not just for me to reach, but for me to become. That's why I don't need the whole map. I just need the next step. And that's all you need too. Letting God lead sounds beautiful until you realize what it really means. It means stepping aside. It means letting go of control. And for me, it meant confronting something I didn't even know was running the show. My ego. I used to think I was just ambitious, that I was driven, focused, goal-oriented. But underneath all that was this subtle, unspoken belief that I knew what was best for my life. That if I worked hard enough, planned smart enough, and prayed just enough to check the spiritual box, I could build the life I wanted, a life that looked good, felt safe, impressed people. But then life humbled me. God humbled me. Opportunities I thought were guaranteed disappeared. Plans I'd carefully crafted unraveled. People I relied on walked away. And the more I tried to grip tighter, the more everything slipped through my hands. That's when I heard it. Not out loud, but in that quiet, unmistakable voice. Let go, go. And I didn't want to. I wanted answers. I wanted control. I wanted my version of how things should go. But I also knew, deep down, that my way wasn't working, that all my striving had only led to exhaustion, that my ego, disguised as confidence, had driven me into isolation and fear. And that's when I realized, if I truly want God to lead my life, I have to surrender not just in theory, in practice, in the way I think, the way I make decisions, the way I carry myself when nobody's watching. That's when the real war began. Not between the world, but between me and myself. You see, ego is tricky. It doesn't always show up as arrogance. Sometimes it shows up as overthinking, as perfectionism, as the fear of being wrong, the fear of being seen as weak, the fear of admitting that I don't have all the answers. And for a long time, I clung to that because letting go felt like losing, like failure, like becoming invisible. But in reality, it was the first step toward freedom. Letting God lead meant I had to stop performing, stop pretending I was okay when I wasn't, stop living for applause and start living for alignment. I had to ask myself hard questions. Am I making this decision to serve God or to prove something? Am I chasing this dream because He called me or because I need validation? Am I listening to His voice or just using faith as a cover for ambition? And look, I'm not saying ambition is bad. God gives us dreams. He calls us to excellence. But there's a difference between being I-E-Koje and being I-E-Driven. One is about purpose. The other is about pride. And for most of my life, I didn't know the difference until God started stripping away the things I thought I needed to feel important. And let me tell you, it hurt. Ego doesn't die quietly. It screams. It bargains. It tells you, you're nothing without this title, this relationship, this recognition. But when I finally let those things fall away, I discovered something deeper. I discovered that who I am in Christ is enough, that I don't need to impress anyone to be significant, that I don't have to be in control to be secure. When I let go of ego, I made space for grace, for wisdom, for peace. Suddenly, I wasn't operating from pressure, but from presence. I wasn't reacting. I was listening. I wasn't chasing. I was following. And that changed everything. I stopped forcing things that weren't meant for me. I stopped defending myself in conversations where God was asking me to be still. I stopped needing to be right all the time and started focusing on being real. And slowly, I started seeing God move. Not because I was doing everything perfectly, but because I finally got out of the way. And that's what ego does. It gets in the way. It clogs the channel between you and God. It drowns out his voice with your own, and it convinces you that surrender is weakness, when in fact it's the greatest strength you'll ever walk in. Some of the most powerful moments of my life didn't happen when I was at the top. They happened when I was on my knees, in tears, out of ideas, out of options, saying, God, I've tried it my way. I can't do this anymore. Take the lead. And in those moments, something miraculous happened, not instantly, but undeniably. Peace came in, direction came in, power came in, not from me, but from Him. And now, every day, I start with the same prayer. God, less of me, more of you. Not because I've mastered it, but because I know how easy it is to drift back into ego, to slip into performance, to start carrying burdens I was never meant to carry. But every time I surrender, He reminds me, you don't have to lead when I'm with you, you just have to follow. Letting God lead isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's not about playing small, it's about trusting that His plan is bigger than anything I could manufacture on my own. It's not about losing yourself, it's about finding your Iaju self, the one He designed, the one He knows, the one He's leading, one step at a time. So no, I don't always know where I'm going, and yes, sometimes my pride still kicks and screams, but I've tasted the peace that comes from surrender. And I know, deep in my soul, that whatever I lose by letting go of ego, God will replace with something better. So I let Him lead. And when I forget, I come back, again and again, because this isn't about being perfect, it's about being willing. It's about saying, God, I trust you more than I trust me. That's where the real power is. And that's where I want to live. I used to pray just to get out of trouble. That was the whole point, right? Something's wrong. So I go to God and ask Him to fix it. A door needs to open, a problem needs to go away, a blessing needs to show up. That's how I treated prayer, like a divine emergency button. And for a long time, I thought that was all it was. But I've learned something that completely flipped my perspective. Prayer doesn't just change circumstances. It changes me. When I started praying, Lord, guide me one step at a time. Please take the lead in my life. I thought I was asking God to manage the chaos around me, to clear the path, open the right doors, make people behave, make things work out. And sometimes He did. But more often, something deeper started to happen. My situation didn't always change, but I did. The way I saw things started to shift. The things that used to stress me out didn't hit the same. The opinions of other people, suddenly they had less power. The fear that used to grip me at night, it started to loosen its hold. I didn't become perfect or peaceful 24/7, but I became different. Calmer, clearer, stronger. Not because everything around me changed, but because something inside me did. And that's the part nobody tells you. That this kind of prayer doesn't always move the mountain in front of you, but it will move the mountain within you. It doesn't always calm the storm outside, but it will teach you how to walk through it without falling apart. That kind of change, it's slow, subtle, sacred, and it sticks. I used to come to God with a list. Do this, fix that, protect me from this, bless me with that. But now, more often than not, I come with open hands. I say, God, I don't even know what I need. I just know I need you. And from that place, real transformation happens. He doesn't just change the situation. I start to change in it. There was a time I begged God to change someone in my life. Every day, I thought they were the problem. I thought if God could just fix them, everything would be okay. But as I kept praying, slowly, He began working on me. My patience grew, my boundaries strengthened, my need for control started to fade, and eventually I realized the person didn't need to change as much as Amy Hart did. That's when it hit me. Prayer is not a tool to manipulate outcomes. It's a place where my soul gets realigned, where I stop clenching my fists and start opening my heart, where I stop asking God to make everything easy and start asking Him to make me ready for whatever comes, ready to trust when I don't understand, ready to love when it's hard, ready to be still when I want to run. And listen, I still ask God for things. I still pray for healing, for breakthrough, for open doors. But I've stopped making that the goal. The goal is not to get God to do what I want. It's to become who He's calling me to be. And sometimes that happens through unanswered prayers, through waiting, through stretching, through seasons that don't make sense until I look back. Some of the biggest changes in my life came when nothing around me was changing, when it felt like I was stuck. But during those seasons, my faith deepened, my dependence on God grew, my identity became less about what I could achieve and more about who I belonged to. That's what this kind of prayer does. It transforms you at the root. Because when you start asking God to ledge, when you invite Him to guide you one step at a time, you're not just asking for direction. You're giving up control. You're saying, I'm not in charge anymore. I trust you. Even if I don't like where we're going, even if you take longer than I'd prefer, even if you lead me somewhere I didn't expect, that posture, that surrender, it reshapes you. It builds something in you that comfort never could. And here's the wild part. Once you're changed, the things you used to beg God for, sometimes you don't even want them anymore. Or you want them for different reasons. What used to be about status becomes about purpose. What used to be about proving people wrong becomes about honoring God. That's how you know prayer has done its deeper work. Not when your world changes, but when your why does. So now, when I pray, Lord, take the lead in my life, I'm not just asking Him to fix things. I'm asking Him to form me, to make me more patient, more bold, more honest, more faithful. I'm asking Him to burn away what's fake, what's fragile, what's based on fear. I'm asking Him to align my desires with His purpose. Because at the end of the day, the miracle isn't always a changed situation. Sometimes the miracle is a changed soul, a new perspective, a healed heart, a surrendered life. That's what I want now. Not just relief, but granually. Not just blessings, but becoming. So if you're praying for God to move, keep praying. But also pay attention to how He's moving in you. The delay, the silence, the struggle. It might be the furnace where your faith is being refined. And one day you'll look back and realize that prayer didn't just get you through it. It changed who you were while you were in it. And that's what makes it worth it. That's why I keep praying it every morning. Lord, guide me one step at a time. Take the lead in my life. Not because I'm desperate for Him to fix everything around me, but because I know He's fixing something in me. And that change, that quiet inner transformation, that's what real faith is all about.